User 7525, welcome. My name is Peter Greenlaw. This is live. It's not a recording. We're going to discuss today why diets are failing us. I've been a nutritional researcher for more than 21 years. Hello, J3P. I'm Carolyn. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. Okay. Oh, it didn't work too well. Hello, user 79, Brett. Hello, fun. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, and today I want to discuss with you why diets are failing us, because they are. 80% of all Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic. Can anybody put in the chat any diet you've ever heard of where counting calories that it's not about counting calories? So we've done our research now for 21 years. I just put up for all of you. No, I haven't, Vance. That's kind of interesting. What I can tell you is this, that we're going to state, what we're going to give you today is no opinions. We're going to give you medical proof from the biggest medical journals in the world that have done analysis on regular diets. But we're also going to introduce you today to 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that were done by the top weight loss, nutrition, and physiologists in the entire world. They've been studying diets and nutrition for 38 years. They've published over 150 different studies on every diet you could name. They developed this after 38 years. They feel they cracked the code. Listen to this. Men and women in this new protocol lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water weight, and instead of the danger of any diet, when they say don't lose more than a pound a week on a diet because you're losing lean muscle mass, the people, men and women with no exercise allowed, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. But that wasn't even the mainstay. The mainstay was this, that blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. Inflammation came down in a month by 25%. Never seen before. No diet has ever produced anything like that. So again, all diets that have been analyzed, you're going to find out the conclusion is they're failing us in the long run. And the reason for that is in every diet ever studied, you can lose weight. So the proper human diet, maybe people lost weight on it. But the medical evidence says that on every diet, people are losing between 25 and 40% of their lean muscle. And when that happens, the body reacts by slowing down metabolism. Yeah, you lost the weight, but the minute you stop the diet and go back even to eating healthy, you gain everything back. That's why 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, and all these influencers out there, what are they telling you? The only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Nonsense, completely bunked. As a matter of fact, you can see the title, Harvard Medical School. Let's read what they actually said. Stop, this is Harvard Medical School. It's not my opinion, okay? Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. They say the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. They say we need to put the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. Well, in this book, which we wrote in 2010, we've had several updates in the last 14 years, our main premise was the enemy's not calories, because the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. The human body doesn't count calories, you know. Oh, you checked out the website, but can't. That's why you set up a free personal consultation, okay? Because it's not just what you're going to consume. It's when you're consuming it, how you're consuming it, et cetera. So I would encourage you to, but you saw the before and afters. You saw the medical proof. Have you ever seen anything like that in your life, right? The book is called Why Diets Are Failing Us. I don't want you to buy my book. I'm serious. That's why I'm going to put it up here again for all of you. Hold on just a second here. This website is free for you to go to, okay? Why is Control V? Okay, hold on just a second. There you can see, there's the free website to go to see the medical proof. And as far as Harvard Medical School, funded by pharmaceuticals, this study had nothing to do with pharmaceuticals, okay? They don't have any dog in this hunt, okay? And what they did do, they did a 12-month study. This is not involving drugs. So let's get that out of the equation, okay? And if you don't believe in Harvard, then let's go to the Journal of the American Medical Association. They did a 12-month study, 48 different studies. Not their studies, they did the study of studies. So there's no prejudice involved here. And what did they find after 12 months? And they listed all the major diets, paleo, keto, counting macros, all this nonsense. Look, here's the bottom line. 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anybody think any of these diets are working? And a big article came out today, ABC News. Study projects obesity apocalypse by 2030. The researcher, Dr. Wang of Johns Hopkins Medical School, said if the current overweight and obesity trends continue, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. That's in less than 6 years. Okay? But then they go on to say, the more troubling, the authors note, by 2048, all Americans could become overweight or obese. Do you really think diets are working? Macronutrients, and I'm not against any of these diets. Our job as researchers is just to show you what's really going on. But to contrast that with 7 published peer-reviewed studies by the top nutritional, they don't have anything to do with the drug companies. Nothing to do with drugs. They're all about preventative. Not only are they nutritional researchers and physiologists, but they also have worked with some of the top athletes in the world in both CrossFit, cross country, marathons, triathletes, Green Berets, Navy SEALs, etc. They have nothing to do with the drug companies. And what did they find in these studies that you can see on the website for free? There's no gimmicks. There's nothing to buy there. I don't want you to buy my books. I'm serious. I'm the researcher of the researchers. Let's be clear. It's not my research. But we started the new health conversation because we got so damn angry saying, why do we continue to follow this mantra about the only way to lose weight is to lower calories? Nonsense. I mean, all you have to do, go to Kmart, Walmart, go to Costco. Look at America. You think it's working? Go to Barnes & Noble. My gosh, there's so many diets that'll make your head spin. These new studies, men and women who weren't allowed to exercise, lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in 30 days as what it took people a year on any of the other diets that have ever been analyzed. We're not talking about drugs here. We're not talking about pharmaceuticals. We're talking about, the biggest pandemic facing the world right now is obesity. There's a study done by the Lancet, one of the biggest medical journals in the world out of England. They now say 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition. What? What? Malnutrition? There was a study done on obese children about 5 years ago, and they found that 25% of the kids that were obese were suffering from rickets and scurvy, which are diseases of malnutrition. When are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up? All these influences, and I don't think they're evil. I don't think they're bad. But what if everything they're teaching us, telling us is completely wrong? Because it is. Because it is. I mean, study after study after study shows you can lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diet. I'm not making this up. But what kind of weight are you losing? See, here's the fallacy but on all this calorie counting. Let's have a practical example, okay? If all that matters was lowering calories, which they're all telling you, okay, then it wouldn't matter what's in the calorie, right? So let's do 2 examples. One, behind door number 1 is 1,500 calories, lean chicken, fish, salads, etc. Behind door number 2, remember, if it only matters about the calorie, 1,500 calories from 3 bags of M&Ms. You see the absurdity of that. And the other problem is the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. All it is a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. Nothing less, nothing more. What happens when you go on a diet is you lower the amount of food you're consuming. And I don't care if it's time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you ate for 8, and they're coming on and telling you how great this is. I'll show you the medical science about it in a minute. Then you get to decide. I'll give you no opinions. I don't give you opinions. If you want opinions, there's plenty of people on social media to give you opinions. Like I said, I've written 4 best-selling books with MDs. I've done 20 shows on PBS, interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and did over 1,500 live lectures all over the world, including China. I've spoken in universities and hospitals, etc. But for 20 of those years, you got to understand, in the medical world, didn't mean a thing. 0. Because what did we have at that point? Before and afters, we had stories, et cetera. We had no medical proof until now. Well, 15 months ago, as these 7 new peer-reviewed studies came out in all these major medical journals, doctors are flocking because they're looking for a solution. And the solution is not putting people on traditional diets of lowering calories. It's not just Harvard saying that. There's another study in here that says that 66 2/3 of people who go on any diet by lowering calories or restricting calories gain back more weight than they lost. Do you know that calorie reduction diets have never been proven long-term to work? They don't work. Fancy new titles. You know, keto, paleo, Mediterranean, the Cornish diet, the zone type, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, etc. If any of them work, just ask yourself the question, if any of them work, how could 80% of America be overweight? We have more diet and exercise than ever before. Does anyone think this is working? You understand right now we have 50% of Americans pre-diabetic and we already have an insulin shortage? This is nuts. This is crazy. And the CDC came out and said 9 out of 10 Americans, not my opinion. I don't give you opinions. Okay? Let's just go with this. What are they saying, the CDC? That 92.3% of the American population is metabolically unhealthy with 3 of 5 factors. Overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Do you know in these medical studies, all 5 of those factors came down dramatically just in 30 days? This is not, don't do this to lose weight. The weight loss is like, it's so dramatic. It's like we don't even consider that it's the least important reason to do this, okay? No, Jules, you're completely wrong. No, Jules, Harvard Medical School, calories, stop counting calories, Jules. Harvard Medical School, the concept of calories in, calories out is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. This is Harvard Medical School. This isn't me giving you an opinion. It doesn't work. Do you understand when you lower the calories? Because the body doesn't know what why are you counting calories, Jules? The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Did you know that? Did you know it's just a measurement? It's not a thing. So why are we counting calories? Because people told us to. So what you're doing, Jules, when you're reducing the amount of food, you call it calories reduction, call it whatever you want. You're consuming less food. Well, what else are you not consuming? Nutrition. Guess what your body does on every diet? Proven in all these studies. Yes, you're losing weight on all these diets. 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass. It slows down your metabolism. Jules, you come off that diet, 66 2/3 of people on any calorie reduction diet are gaining back more weight than they lost. This is the problem. We keep believing this nonsense with no the medical proof now is becoming overwhelming. My God, they did a study on the Mediterranean diet, the #1 diet rated by U.S. News and World Report 7 years in a row. In 8 months, people lost 10.2 pounds. In these studies I've been talking about, men and women who weren't even allowed to exercise, they lost 16 pounds in a month with no loss of water. And instead of losing lean muscle, which is on every diet ever studied, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. That's a real solution. And for all of you, you can go there. Okay, hold on. Then do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. If you think that that works, I can tell you this, low-calorie diets, a big study done in Nutrients said that low-carbohydrate diets, which a friend was on, is a leading contributing factor to osteoporosis. Try that on for size, okay? Yeah, again, see, here's the problem. You can lose weight on any of these diets, but what kind of weight are you losing? Is your diet doing something for you, or is it doing something to you? If every medical study shows that 25 to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle, it's the most unhealthy thing you could do because your body will slow down your metabolism. Okay? Period. But the other thing it's doing to you when you lose lean muscle, it slows down your own immune system. Well, I mean, every disease out there is out of control. Out of control. And Harvard Medical School said that obesity leads to about 60 known diseases. This isn't about fat shaming. And congratulations. Oh, you're such an idiot. I mean, just let's park you in the parking lot here. abstract my ass. I know the researchers. You have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, that's the problem with people coming on and making ridiculous comments that have no meaning whatsoever. For you or to you. Yeah, to you. Yeah, see, Anna's saying that, blah, blah, blah. You're not saying anything that makes sense. Really, Ann? When we're talking about peer-reviewed human trial studies, there's nothing higher in medicine. Maybe you don't want to hear it, okay? What they did with medical proof will obsolete every diet that you know about. And these are from the top nutritional researchers and physiologists in the entire world for 38 years. I'm not saying anything. What do I need to expand on when you're talking about men and women losing as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet, losing no water, gaining lean muscle, lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides in 30 days, lowering inflammation by 25% in a month, and shrinking visceral, the belly fat, by 33% in 8 weeks? Not saying anything? Really? I mean, I'm sorry, that's your opinion. Yeah, you want to lose body fat, not weight. Okay, so E-turn. In the studies, people shrank their body, the visceral fat, that's the dangerous fat in the body, by 33% in 8 weeks with no exercise allowed. The weight loss was like a throw-in, but the real reason to do this, believe it or not, is something that may shock all of you. This may be something to talk about. This is a medical syndrome, a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office of a new medical condition. Toxicity driven by deficiency, overweight, and stress. And every one of you on here, every person, you have this, along with everybody in the world, including myself. What's it all about? It means we now know, thanks to Mount Sinai Medical School in 2005, that we're storing chemicals inside our visceral fat. That's the belly fat, okay? So every one of you on here, you have TDOS syndrome, you don't even know it. Now, why should you be concerned? Because, again, I only give you for medical professionals. I'm the researcher of the researchers. Don't get mad at me. You can if you want. You're entitled to your opinion, but your opinion means nothing in the medical world. So let's go to the real researchers now. What are they saying about these chemicals? They're causing you to be overweight. Listen to this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrial chemicals. They give these chemicals a name. They call them obesogens. Listen to this. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Did you even know about obesogens? I'm not talking about anything. I'm not saying anything. Did you know you're loaded with obesogens? Did you know that? Do you know no diet has ever proved anything for being able to remove any of these chemicals from our body? But let's go to another source. Frederick von Saal, professor of biological science, University of Missouri, Columbia. Obesogens are thought to be acting in the regulatory system that controls our body weight. This presence of obesogens is the first reason that traditional dieting methods have become outdated. Never before have traditional low-carbohydrate, low-calorie diets been forced to accommodate for this level of synthetic chemicals and the adverse effects they have on the body. The body's attempt to protect itself from the constant assault of synthetic toxins results in the production and storage of fat. There you go. What are you doing about obesogens? Well, the researchers who did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proved that this protocol, first and foremost, was assisting the body in removing the obesogens, pesticides, herbicides, Scotchgard, Teflon, and plastics from our body. These are peer-reviewed medical studies. These aren't scientific papers. These aren't clinical studies. These researchers, for 38 years, they did 150 studies. They said they discovered this, not me, it's not me saying this. I'm repeating what they're saying. And as a matter of fact, if you go to the website, sorry, let me put it up there. No, again, L, to be quite honest, thermodynamics Thermodynamics applies to a closed loop system. The human body is open system. That has nothing to do with thermodynamics in the human body in terms of losing weight. Sorry to tell you that. That's it, period, okay? I've had this question 25 different times. No, thermodynamics does not apply to the human body, okay? Let's go on. What are the easiest obesity to avoid? The problem, Megan, is that it's in the water, it's in the air, it's in the food, it's in your shampoos. Right now we're breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants in China from 2 weeks ago, the mercury and the cadmium. We can't avoid it. Do you know they did a study on municipal water supply around this country? They looked at 10,000 different water supply. They found that every water supply, their drinking water, had between 400 and 600 chemicals in the water. Things like Prozac and Zoloft and Lipitor and birth control pills and unbelievable. Well, it makes sense because people aren't finishing their prescriptions. They're antibiotic, they flush them down the toilet. Well, the water treatment plant doesn't know how to separate those things out of the water. This is this is why we started the new health conversation. Now, granted, I've written 4 I'm not trying to impress you, okay? But I've written 4 best-selling books, all with MDs. So the first one was Why Diets Are Failing Us. I just talked about the TDOS syndrome, TDOS solutions, and our 4th book, Your Third Brain. That's not a trick title. I wrote it with one of the top oncologists in the world, who's also a molecular biologist, who also worked with 2 gentlemen who won the Nobel Prize in medicine, okay? That's why I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. We want to give you a place where you can go for free. If you go to that website, we are not going to contact you. None of my books are for sale there. That's not part of it, okay? And in all fairness, this book came out in 2010. And like anything else, of course, when you write things, you have critics, etc. But you got to understand that now the medical proof is there to back up everything I wrote about in this book back in 2010. This whole idea about everybody, it was very controversial because they said, why are we counting calories? The enemy's not calories. The enemy is what's in the calories. So instead of counting the calorie, let's make every calorie count. Again, Harvard Medical School now backs me up. Stop counting calories, Harvard says. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is totally antiquated and it's just wrong. They said, here they go. What we need to concentrate is what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. There you go. And again, you do any diet you want. You follow any followers you want. But do any of them show you one shred of medical evidence? That website that I just put up there for you. Okay, hold on just one second. I'm going to put it up here for you one more time so you all can see it and access it. As a matter of fact, in addition to going to the website, and I don't know why it didn't come up. Just give me one more second because I want you all to have free access to it if you want to go there. Why is it not posting? Hold on just a second. Darn it. What is going on? Control V. The point is that the information is all backed by medical proof and science, not hyperboles. This is not an infomercial, okay? If you go to that website, there's nothing for you to buy. We're not going to contact you. If I could just post it for all of you, that'd be even better. My first hearing about TDOS syndrome, I'm curious. Okay, intern. Well, the point is that the TDOS syndrome, I don't know how much you know, and I wouldn't expect you to, about registered trademarks, okay? What happens at the patent office when you apply for a registered trademark, they do a worldwide search, and especially when it comes to medicine, it's very particular because they don't want you being able to trademark somebody else's research in particular, okay? I'm bragging now, but I was one of the pioneers more than 20 years ago screaming about the fact, wait a minute, are we storing chemicals in our body? And then that was 2003. And then 2 years later, Mount Sinai Medical School did the first study on human beings storing chemicals in the body. And again, like I said, when I first wrote this first book back in 2010, like with anything else, you always have your critics. That's okay. But in fairness, even to them, there was no medical proof behind what I was claiming. Now, I got 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies backing up this, backing up this, backing up this, and backing up all 4 of my books. See, that's the game changer. And you can believe whatever influencer you want, you can do. Yes, my book is on Kindle, but I don't want you to buy it. Yes, cortisol teen is a huge part of that. And it's something that most people don't understand, that cortisol really does prevent you from losing weight. And the problem with type 2 diabetes is that when, I put it in there for you, the New Health Conversation. That's the free website to go to. Let's see if I can put this up here too. And it's just something that's so important to all of us to at least have access to knowledge. I promise, on that website, the New Health Conversation, there's nothing to buy. We won't contact you. But if you go there and you like what you see, okay, if you like what you see, only if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Now, why are we doing that? Because we don't know anything about you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Have you got any medical challenges? Are you young? Are you old? What have you tried in the past? We have kids as young as 2 and people in their 90s doing versions of this. It's not my research. Okay, so let me review again, and then I'm going to explain to you what did they do to have men and women with no exercise lose as much weight safely in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, lose as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet, lose no water, and instead of losing lean muscle mass, gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So let's go back. So the researchers who did these are considered the top nutritional and physiological. Physiology means the study of how all this interacts when you consume foods. What are they doing in all the organs inside your body? Basically, that's the simple explanation of it. They've been doing it for 38 years. They've done over 150 studies. They looked at every diet, nutrition, supplement, exercise you could imagine on planet Earth. And here's what they concluded. And here's why this is why diets are failing you. Because all a diet is reducing the amount of food you're consuming. Okay? Not calories. Because calories, again, like Harvard said, stop counting calories. Calories in, calories out is antiquated. Well, number one, the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Only thing the body cares about is nutrition. Just get that, okay? And imagine in the body there's a minimum, sort of a horizon, okay, where that, if you have that much nutrition, the body it's cool because the body runs on nutrition, your brain, your kidney, your liver, your heart, everything. What happens when you go on a diet, you lower the quantity of food. Well, what else are you lowering? Nutrition. And when the body senses not enough nutrition, what does it do? It freaks out, goes in starvation mode, stores fat, and then turns and goes and looks for nutrition. Because the brain goes, wait a minute, I need fuel here, right? My heart, my kidney, everything. So it breaks our muscles down into carbohydrates for fuel. And then 2 of the most unhealthy things are happening to you on any diet where you're losing calories, and that is that the body has to slow down metabolism. You slow down metabolism, you can't burn as many calories, you plateau, you come off the diet, you gain all your weight back. I read to you from the one study that says 66 2/3 of people who go on any diet of lowering or restricting calories gain back more weight than they lost. That's not my opinion. I don't know why, people want to fight with me for some reason. I'm the researcher of the researchers bringing you the free research. You do with it what you want. You don't have to go to the website. You can believe what you're believing and look around and see 80% of America. And they said in this big study I have over here, by 2048, 100% of America is going to be overweight. Really? How's that going to work? How is it working now? We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic. I think we need to do something different. That's what the researchers figured out. So they knew that every diet, 150 diets they studied, when they lowered the amount of food people consume, they lost weight. Ha-ha. But every time when they measured, and they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, that people were losing up to 40% of the lean muscle mass, and every person on every diet they studied in the long run gained back all the weight. This was 38, almost 39 years of them trying to find a solution. Because have we found a solution with 80% of America overweight and 50% obese? I mean, people, somebody said a little while ago, well, he's not saying anything. Wait a minute, I'm explaining the problem. See, in scientific research, which I've been involved with now for 21 years, you got to understand the volume, the magnitude of the problem. That's why, for example, the TDOS syndrome, that me and you and every person in the world has this. We're storing chemicals in our fat cells. What are you doing about it? Do you even know what was happening? Okay? So the researchers figured out, okay, look, is it possible Could we lower the amount of food we're consuming? On any of the diets, they had a minimum. Let's say it was, I don't know, 15, if you talk about calories, which that's just people weren't familiar. So let's say it's 1,500 calories. They wanted to find out, could we do that and not lower nutrition? They didn't know. It was theoretical. So here's exactly what they did in these peer-reviewed human trial studies that produced results that no one has ever seen on this planet in nearly 40 years of research on all the diets, nutrition, etc. Number one, they created a grocery list, but people consumed, unlike in the past studies, only 40% of the food that people consume came from the grocery store in the United States. The other 60% of the food, they found fulfillment companies who'd spent the last 25 years searching the world for foods that had tremendous amounts of nutrition, like the food in this country used to have like 120 years ago, okay? So what they were able to do essentially was to lower the quantity of the food, but by limiting regular food to only 40% and 60% to these massive amounts of nutrition, they actually upped the amount of nutrition even what people were eating normally. Now, what kind of deficiencies are you facing? Because some people say, I do whole foods, I do organic. Well, you might want to know, and we wrote about it in our book, in 200 studies where they compared organic food to regular food, it's a little bit better nutritionally, but the main reason to consume it is it's less polluted. But in terms of nutrition, it's not that much better. But I eat organic, that's what I do eat, okay? Okay, now they knew that what was happening when they put people on diets, when they were depriving the people of nutrition, the body responded by going in starvation mode and breaking the muscles down for survival of the organs in our body, okay? This is what is happening on all these diets. You all know it. You've lost weight and gained it all back, and then you thought it was you. Well, paleo didn't work. Oh, keto sounds good. Or let's do this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8. You understand none of them on their own have peer-reviewed human trial studies about what they're claiming. Then they don't, okay? So the researchers, what they did, 40% of the food and 60%. Now, what are we missing? Number one in our food, one of the primary things we're missing are what are called trace ionic minerals. You need 70, and in the best organic you can buy today, you get 15 to 20 out of 70. Wait a minute. We need 70 of these trace ionic minerals. Now, what are trace ionic minerals? Well, it's not just iron, calcium, magnesium. It's things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. 70, and you're getting 20, okay? I mean, you're asking your body to work on like a third of what we need, okay? That's number one. What's the other thing that we're missing? Well, if you're taking supplements, which a lot of people are, I will promise you that most supplements, vitamin supplements that you're taking, vitamin supplements, are what's called synthetic, meaning they've been engineered. And they're close to a natural vitamin, but they're off just enough. When it comes into your body kind of goes, whoa, what's this? So the absorption of those vitamins, which is see, when you take a drug or nutrition, the only thing that matters to the body is how much are we absorbing, how much are we actually able to use, right? So synthetic vitamins are the mainstay. Why? Because for years it was the only way that they could preserve the integrity of the vitamin, meaning it would deteriorate over time. So shelf life, that's a simple way to think about it. Never before had natural, in other words, from kale and spinach and all these things, had they been able to preserve it. There were natural vitamins, but their shelf life was very short, okay? Until now. These researchers found a source that had pioneered, okay? The researchers don't sell anything. They don't have anything to do with these naturally occurring vitamins. This is revolutionary. So essentially what they did by giving people all 70 minerals and giving them these natural vitamins, there was a third component. One of the most important things to all of us, for reasons you'll think are crazy, is protein. You'll hear them say to lose weight, you need 120 grams of protein or 150 or whatever it is. Okay, well, up until about 8 years ago, that was the main mantra. But in Europe, they developed a new medical test. It's called net nitrogen utilization, where when you ingest protein from a plant or an animal, you get all 20 amino acids. It's the only reason you consume a protein is not for protein itself, but for the amino acids. That are 9 that are called essential and 11 that are non-essential. 9 you have to get from your diet. So what they did in Europe, they developed this sophisticated analysis of blood, stool, urine, and fat, where when you ingested protein from plant or an animal, they could tell you from 0 to 100 how much was being used or absorbed in the body. I'm going to make vegans mad when I tell you this. The absorption of the amino acids in a vegan protein, like a pea protein, is only 10%. All meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, are 30%. Well, the researchers found, again, a protein source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. 91. So now you had all 70 minerals, you had natural vitamins, and you found this 91%. So essentially what they created was the world's perfect food. The combination, of course, of all of these, because there were 5 different food groups that made up what they were giving to the people in the study. So 40% from the grocery store, 60%. So now you have the ingredients, but that's only the beginning. Like, you know, if you're cooking anything, you have ingredients, but then you need a recipe. So the research, remember, this had never been done before. This was a completely different approach. They had them do 2 completely different ways of consuming food. One was called protein pacing. Aha, why was that critical? Well, they had protein, they'd done regular diets, putting people on steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc. Okay? But now what they could do is literally give people essentially 60% less protein by volume quantity. Remember, lowering the quantity of food, but actually increasing the nutrition, which were the amino acids, along with the 70 trace ionic minerals. But the protein pacing part was not just what they were consuming, how much, when, in what sequence. So they were consuming protein about every 2 hours over about 13 or 14 hours. Nothing to do with time-restricted eating or fasting or anything else. That was the first thing. The second thing they did, and this will sound strange, they did a brand new concept called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating, not intermittent fasting. Totally different. Where in those days, they consumed no food from the grocery store and consumed 4 of the 5 foods. That was the essence. So 5 days a week, people were doing protein pacing. 2 days a week, they were doing intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, the protocol that they call this now, code word R2M, stands for race to maintenance. Because in the studies that was started more than a couple years ago, they have followed up 2 and 2.5 years later. The people who initially lost, there were people in here that lost like 150 pounds. I only gave you the first 30 days with people, but people obviously continue. There were lots of people that needed 40, 50, 80 pounds, right? Well, those people, whatever weight they've lost, they've maintained it now for more than 2 years. In my own case, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've maintained it now for 21 years. This is not a diet. Don't do this to lose weight. That's a given. That's like a throw-in. The main reason to do this is to attack the TDOS syndrome. Toxicity driven by deficiency, overweight, and stress. Every one of us have between 1,000 and 1,500 chemicals embedded in our visceral fat. No diet, paleo, keto, Mediterranean, none of them have ever shown anything about assisting the body in removing the chemicals. This is the reason to do this, not to fit in your skinny jeans. So, no, bug. That's nuts. Let me read to you from Harvard Medical School about counting calories. See, that's your problem, okay? That is exactly your problem. Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. The idea of calories in, calories out is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. They say the only thing that matters is what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're counting. That is nonsense. That is completely blown up. Study after study. There's another study here that says 66 and 2/3 of people doing what you're saying gain back more weight than they lost. Because the body doesn't know what a calorie is. It's just a measurement. I just explained to you the main problem with the diet is when you're lowering the quantity of food you're consuming, you're lowering nutrition. It has nothing to do with calories. That's nonsense. And what's the proof? We got 80%. We got everybody out there's doing calorie counting. 80% of America's overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Do you really think that counting calories works? Flying in the face of these big medical studies now? Are you kidding me? It's like a joke. Okay, bug, not to... Yeah, see, Michelle, I've been gaining and losing. But Michelle, you're proving my point. But here's what you didn't know, bug. And you don't have to believe me. I'm giving you the medical evidence, okay? Let's look at the New England Journal of Medicine, Muggs, a 12-month study on lowering calories compared to time-restricted eating, don't eat for 16 hours a day. Again, I don't want to give you my opinion, okay? So don't get mad at me if I'm just sharing the medical proof. I get really excited because we're the only ones with real medical proof, not opinions. So a 12-month study on lowering calories compared to those that did time-restricted eating. After 12 months, those who lowered calories in a year lost 16 pounds. In a year, those doing time-restricted eating did worse. They lost 12.6 pounds in a year, but both those lowering calorie group and those doing time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. Michelle, that's why you've lost weight and gained it back. And for all of you, I'm going to put it up there again for you. This is the free website that you can go to if you want to. Let me. No, I didn't, Michelle, I didn't say you were mad. I'm saying that people think because I get excited that I'm mad. I'm just so passionate about this, right? And your metabolism adjusts and adapts to lower calories, it makes it harder to eat. Yes, Delphine, you're right on. So I'm going to, again, I want to share this website with all of you. Hold on. Messages are coming in so fast I can't even type to stay ahead of it. The new health conversation. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, you can see it there, the new health conversation. So what's there? All the medical proof. There's nothing for sale. My books are not on sale on that website. I don't want to sell you books. Now, part of the reason we did the website is this new research just came out like in the last 14 or 15 months. It wasn't even available. It wasn't even available when I wrote this first book back in 2010. But you know now, everything I talked about in that book, now it's backed up medically. Harvard Medical School, Journal of the American Medical Association, Nutrients, the Obesity, the Nutrition Journal, they're all proving the same thing. Diets, why diets are failing us? Because it's a completely ridiculous premise that if that was the case, okay, with all due respect to everybody, let's just say we agreed you're going to get a calculator and you're going to lower your calories. So let's say we rested on 1,500 calories. If that was all that mattered, then here's two different kinds of diets. Number one, 1,500 calories, lean chicken, fish, salads, etc. 1,500 calories. But behind door number two is the other diet, but only 1,500 calories, 3 bags of M&Ms. Do you see that argument about calories in, calories out? Harvard recognizes it now. It doesn't work. Because when you drop the nutrition in your body goes in starvation mode. It prevents you from burning fat and turns to your muscles for fuel. And in so doing, your body, you have no control. It slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in diet. That's why you come off the diet. And eventually you gain all the weight back. But you've done something really harmful to your body. When you lose, lean muscle, it's not just that you slow down your metabolism. You also impact your own immune system. So again, is that diet you're on, is it doing something for you? Or is it doing something to you? The medical evidence proves it's doing something to you. Because when you lose lean muscle mass, just to give you an idea, let's say you lost 20 pounds. If 40% of that is lean muscle, that's 8 pounds. According to the experts, to regain 1 pound of lean muscle, it takes you 12 months. How about that? How about considering that? That's why these studies that they didn't allow anybody to exercise. And men and women lost as much weight in 30 days as a year. I just read to you that calorie restriction 12-month study in New England Journal of Medicine. People lost 16 pounds in 12 months. The people in these studies lost 16 pounds in a month. And instead of losing any lean muscle, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Does that make sense to all of you? Why in the world would you not, for free, go and at least look at the medical evidence? Oh, I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. Guess who's on the website? The #1 nutritional physiology researcher in the world who for 38 years has done over 150 studies. Not opinions. They figured out that diets didn't work. And they came up with this brand new approach based on what never had worked. They looked at like 150 different studies. The outcome was always the same. People lost weight on every diet, just like some of you were telling me right there. Okay, Melissa, so just focus on nutrition and forget about calories. That's kind of right, Chelsea. It's a little more complicated. This is what's going to happen on all of the Yeah. Okay, Jesus. Okay, let's see. Facts. Calorie counting and intermittent fasting is not sustainable. Johanna, you're right on. You buy your products, special foods imported from other countries, and buy food in stores. Yeah, that's it. So 40%. Let me go over it again for everybody. What did the researchers do? I don't know if you all heard the story about Thomas Edison when they said, hey, you failed 3,000 times inventing the light bulb. He said, no, I didn't. I just figured out 3,000 ways not to invent it. That's what these researchers did. You understand, this was something no one had ever tried before. But after 38 years of failing every time long term on all diets, they said, what's wrong? What we need to do? Well, they were scientists. They were researchers. So they figured out the thing they'd have to do was, can we reduce the volume of the food without reducing the nutrition? Well, one thing they knew for sure, if they relied on regular food, even if it's organic from the grocery store, it didn't work. Do you know how deficient our food's becoming in this country? There are estimates that an orange from 30 years ago today, you've got to eat about 6 oranges to equal 1 orange, about a dozen apples. Then Cornell University did a study on iron levels in spinach. From 1953 to today, they estimate the iron levels in spinach have decreased, you ready for this, by about 4,300%. So all of you that tell me I'm eating healthy and whole foods, now look, I do organic, but only about 40% of the food that I consume is organic. This other comes from these 5 foods from around the world that literally are the world's first perfect meal, in a sense, right? Because they're providing what you can't get in. I explained it to you before. We need about 70 trace ionic minerals, not iron, calcium, magnesium. Yeah, we need those too. But we're talking about things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. In the best organic you're buying, you're getting 15 to 20 minerals out of 70. The researchers found a source with all 70 minerals. Then they found, for the first time ever, natural vitamins. See, most of the vitamins you're consuming today are synthetic for shelf life. This is a major breakthrough. Because we're in such trouble with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Do we just continue to believe the mantra, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories, or do we look at the reality when you go out the front door and go to Walmart or Kmart or Costco or your workplace, or if you're in a hospital? It's out of control. Talk to the nurses and doctors in hospitals. Do we really want to continue doing exactly that? That's the definition of insanity. So 40% of the food they got from the grocery store, 60% of the food came from these 5 foods. Then they did 2, remember, this is the first time ever they did this. They created 2 completely different ways of consuming food. They didn't know if it was going to work or not. One was called protein pacing, where they had specific amounts of protein at specific times over about 12 or 14 hours. But the key was they found a protein source. See, the only reason you ingest a protein from a plant or an animal is for what's inside the protein, not the protein itself. People don't know this. Protein itself is like the walnut shell. And like a walnut, you want to break the shell open to get the nut. The same thing with the protein. The body ingests it. And it's a process is called scientifically body protein synthesis, where the body breaks open the shell, extracts the 20 amino acids. Well, you think that's great. Doesn't mean a thing. In Europe, they developed a test about 8 years ago where they could measure of the 20 amino acids, you're getting all 20, but what percentage was being used by the body from 0 to 100. Well, this will make vegans mad. The maximum absorption in vegan proteins was 10% out of 100. When they looked at animal protein, steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc., the absorption was 30%. Well, the researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. Men and women were not allowed to exercise, and yet they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Here's why. One of the essential amino acids called leucine is responsible for making muscle in your body. So the researchers wanted to eliminate exercise. What would happen if we gave people a 600% increase in leucine? So again, it was back to the concept. They reduced the amount of protein people were consuming by almost 60%. And yet they increased the nutrition. Then the second thing they did was, so 5 days a week, people did protein pacing, okay? 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. I didn't misspeak. It's not fasting. It's not intermittent fasting, where on those days, no food from the grocery store, and they consumed 4 of the 5 foods from around the world that had what? Tremendous amounts of nutrition, not so many calories, okay? Then the results speak for themselves. But the weight loss is the least The least reason you should consider this. Number one, they lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all in 30 days. They lowered inflammation. No diet, no approach, no macros, diets have ever shown a reduction in inflammation. Went down 25% in 30 days. People's hunger, this makes sense, went down 41% in a month, despite the fact they had lowered the quantity of the food, but they didn't lower the nutrition. And in 8 weeks, people shrank their visceral, that's the belly fat, by 33%. What? With no exercise, okay? That's why to do this. Now, again, I want to put it up there. Legal document, I said, call Cal, only sign me up. You all can go to this website, the New Health. Hold on, everybody. There it is. You can see it there. Did I spell it right? Yeah, the New Health Conversation. I started the movement. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. But look, for some of the new people coming on, what I want to share with you is the reason we have 80% of America overweight is not just that our food is nutritionally bankrupt, because almost anyway, it's becoming more and more nutritionally lacking. Let's just say that. It's because of this medical syndrome that's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office, that me and you and every person in the world, you have this syndrome, whether you know it or not. You've heard of metabolic syndrome. You've heard of syndrome X. This is a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. What does that mean? When you applied for a trademark, especially in the medical world, it's really tricky. The patent office is going out to discover if anybody else has anything even similar to this. I was one of the pioneers screaming, the canary in the coal mine, saying, we're storing chemicals in our fat cells. Can that be a good outcome? All right. And they gave me a registered trademark. So toxicity driven by deficiency, overweight, and stress. Every one of us have these chemicals stored inside our body. And what is our body doing? It's taking the chemical as we breathe it, we drink it, we eating it, as it comes in our body. The immune system can't deal with it. The immune system doesn't know what a herbicide or a pesticide or Scotchgard or Teflon or a flame retardant is. So the immune system takes a hike. But now the body senses these foreign invaders and to protect us. We're evolving as a species. I'm going to prove it to you in a moment, by taking those chemicals and stuffing it in your visceral fat. That's why people complain to me all the time. It's not just how much I weigh, but how much fat I have in my body. Again, in the studies, they shrank the visceral fat by 33%. Because what happens is the chemical comes in the body and the body stuffs it in the visceral fat like a balloon. It expands. If you go to that website, you'll see before and you'll go to the website and you'll see before and afters. You'll think we photoshopped them. We didn't. We got people that lost 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. But more importantly, you can see the medical studies. There's a breakdown of the studies, and there's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher and physiologist in the entire world for more than 38 years. I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. There's no reason. I'm the researcher of the researchers. Yes, I've written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors, okay? I've done over 1,500 lectures live all over the world, including in China. Did 20 shows on PBS and interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And to be honest, for 20 years, that meant nothing. Zero in the medical world. And that's what you're seeing now with all these influences that many of you are probably following. I don't fault them, but I've not seen one of them with one shred of medical evidence. Now let's talk about these chemicals in a completely different light. Let's go to world experts, what they're saying about these chemicals. So the Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research of hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, says the rise in the incidence in obesity matches the rise in use and distribution of industrial chemicals. They give the chemicals a name, by the way. They call them obesogens. Here's what they say. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. Obesogens, they say, they act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and altering the function of our genes to essentially cause us to gain weight. Did you ever know about obesogens before this podcast? Who's telling you about obesogens? Who's telling you that you're storing chemicals in your body? And these researchers, they proved it through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis that this protocol was removing herbicides, pesticides, Scotchgard, Teflon, and even plastics from the human body. That's the reason to do the TDOS syndrome. And all the proof is there. You mean on the program, Joelster, or if it's what I'm think that you did, it's not water weight. They proved in the medical studies that the new health conversation. They proved in the studies that it was not water weight and that people were gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So again, I've put, that's VW 1973. I'm not sure what you're referring to. That's known. What is the website? I just put it up there for you again, Alicia, the new health conversation. But for all of you, if you go to the website, there's nothing to buy there. I'm not selling you my books. I don't want you to buy my books. What we've provided for you is a free medical website, okay? What's on there? The medical studies, the breakdown of the medical studies. There are before and afters that aren't just about weight loss, but also A1C and cholesterol, and you'll see it all. And then the most important thing is an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher and physiologist in the world, who for 38 years, he and his teams are considered the top researchers for weight and health in the entire world. That's why I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. And I say all the time, I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. And on that site, you have an unbelievable opportunity to change the rest of your life, or not. Or just believe that calories in, calories out is the way to go, or lowering calories, or metabolic syndrome, or thermodynamics, or all these theories that are just theories. I mean, thermodynamics is not a theory, but it doesn't apply to the human body. That's the problem, okay? And Harvard, like I said, again, to repeat, Harvard Medical School stopped counting calories. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, they're saying it's outdated, it's just wrong. How in the world could we have 80% of America overweight if diets work? I mean, there's slick presentations, nice people. I don't want to disparage them, but what are they? They're all telling you the same thing. That you, in order to lose weight, you have to lower calories, but the body doesn't know what a calorie is. I've said it 20 times now already. Okay, hold on just a second. All right, hold on. I'm putting it up here again, and then I'm going to answer your question, Delphine. I promise. The new health. There's so many comments, I can't keep up with it. Okay, so there it is, the new health conversation. So Delphine said, how much is it after the consultation? Most people feel that when they buy 40% of the food from the grocery store, and the 60% of these foods you could never get in any grocery store, they're not really spending that much more than they're spending right now, maybe $50 a month at the most. But look, you're getting the world's most perfect meals. That's what these foods, I mean, again, where are you going to get 70 trace minerals? Where are you going to get a 91% absorption of amino acids? Where are you going to get pure, natural vitamins? Good luck. But again, if you rely on just regular food, a regular diet, lowering calories, you're going to lose weight. But 40% of what you're losing is your lean muscle. And it's not up for debate. You're going to gain all that weight back and more. Like I said, I've cited this study a couple times. 66 2/3 of people who go on diets by lowering calories gain back more weight than they lost. Here's another way to think about it. Regular food, let's use it, gasoline. So let's say gasoline, you can get 20 miles to the gallon, okay? But what if you could buy gasoline where you could get 100 miles to the gallon? Number one, obviously you have to pay more money for that, right? But you understand that the engine in the car, if it only needed a gallon to go 100 miles, way less waste, way less damage to the environment, way less carbon. Our body works the same way. We're consuming these tremendous amounts of calories that have no nutrition to satisfy the nutritional needs of the body. So you take like these natural vitamins that are these researchers found, you couldn't eat enough cabbage and spinach and broccoli and whatever to ever equal what's in one of those. That's in this food. It's the world's most perfect food. That's what it boils down to. So imagine, even if you had to spend $50 more a month for the food, why are you compromising your body? If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? Because I'm telling you, the food from the grocery store, even if it's organic, it doesn't have 70 minerals. It's not a 91% absorption of aminos, and it's not naturally occurring vitamins in massive quantities. You can buy Whole Foods at Whole Foods, broccoli, spinach, all that, but you have to eat so much. This has been condensed naturally, though. No artificial anything, nothing synthetic. That's why you should consider this. And then let's look at Delphine. All I can tell you is that you ordered the wrong thing. It's like she's saying. But you have to understand, Joelster, it's replacing 60% of the food you typically would buy if you did it correctly. So I don't know your individual circumstance. I've argued the exact calorie argument for years with my family. Okay, well, you're completely right. So again, I want all of you to go to the new health conversation. It's free to go there. Okay, I didn't say you were complaining. Please don't, look, all of you, don't take any of my passion and enthusiasm for anything other than that. I'm not mad at people. Look, your opinion to me is none of my business. But here's what I will tell you. Science doesn't care about me. If you don't like my glasses or the way I look or my tie or I'm in a suit or whatever, that doesn't matter to the body. What the body cares about is the result. And again, how do you put a price? If you could lose as much weight in a month as a year on any diet and lose no water and gain lean muscle mass, I will tell you this is less than those packaged like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, all those. It's way less than that. And on those diets, they analyzed it. In a year's time on all those diets, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto, it didn't matter. They did a 12-month study on all the major diets, Journal of the American Medical Association. In 1 year, people lost, on average, 16 pounds, and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. So let's say you have 40 pounds to lose. According to the data, that would take you 3 years. We've had people lose 40 pounds in 30 days. All I can say. So where's the real value? Back to, again, a gallon of gas, you want to pay, say it was $4 and you go 20 miles. Would you be willing to pay $6 to go 100 miles? Do you understand way cheaper? Because your $4 a gallon gas is going to cost you $20 to go 100 miles. That's how you need to look at the body. The body's a machine. This is where we live. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? Where are you going? And we keep wondering why all these disease, everything's out of control because we're nutritionally bankrupt in our own bodies. That's why these researchers went around the world they didn't, but the people that discovered these foods in Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, and New Zealand. Aren't you a little bit curious? I mean, you can go to that website for free. We're not going to contact you. There's nothing to do there except to see the information, the medical proof. Or do you want to just believe what's indefensible now based on the medical studies? Harvard Medical School, Journal of the American Medical Association, Nutrients, the Obesity Journal, the Nutrition Journal, over and over and over again. What they're showing is it doesn't matter what the diet is, that people are losing weight initially. And then they're gaining all the weight back because when they measure the lean muscle mass, it's being decreased between 20 and 40% on every diet because diets are based on deprivation. Deprivation of what? Nutrition, not calories. But this calorie thing is just so ridiculous. And that's why we got pushback and we got critics back in 2010, 14 years ago. Because we didn't have the medical studies until now. Everything we wrote about in this book, and we've done 2 or 3 updates, is completely backed now by the biggest medical journals in the world. I mean, they didn't do it to make me right. But I said, why are we counting calories? Instead of counting the calories, shouldn't we make every calorie count? And I've had lots of people now supporting me. Stephen Perini wrote a great book called The New American Diet. And he said the very thing. This whole concept of just worrying about the calorie and not what's in the calorie is ludicrous. So again, and I'm not saying it's $6 a gallon versus $4, but I'm just using an example. Do you understand that's the difference here? You're putting fuel in your body that you would need 5 times as much or 6 times as much. And then the input of all that food, you're going to gain weight. What the researchers figured out is how to reduce the quantity of the food, but increase the nutrition. That's how it works. That's why it does work. And again, when you say self-funded, I didn't know the funding has nothing to do with me. Okay, let me see if I can put it up there again for everybody. Okay, so there's the website to go to for free. Look, here's the point. What people don't understand about research, okay? When research is done, whether it's the government paying for it, whether it's a pharmaceutical company paying for it, somebody has to pay because these studies cost a lot of money and they take a really long time. What I would say to that question, let me address it to you, is that the medical journals, in this case, the obesity journal, nutrition journal, the 6 journals, including, I'm just drawing a blank, wait a minute. Oh, the nutrition journal, obesity journal, the physiology and nutrition, and I'm missing one, I'll think of it in a minute. Those journals are completely independent. Their reputation is based on them taking in the research and sending it out to other peer researchers. The people who have the funding have no input in the outcome. Isn't it interesting that none of these people you see on the internet or on TV or these supplements, none of them have peer-reviewed human trial studies? And the reason why, not just because they're expensive and not because they take a long time. It's because if you knew that you were going to spend a year on time-restricted eating and you were only going to lose 12 pounds and you're going to lose up to 40% of your lean muscle, would you do that if they told you that up front? That's why they won't do it. Because the job of the journal is not to review your study. That's why they send it out to other world-class people who are medical doctors and nutritional researchers and physiologists who try and prove that what you're claiming is false. That's why no drug ever gets approved. I know you say the drug companies fund the drugs. I get that. But what do you want them to just come out with a drug and have no human trials? I mean, they definitely make mistakes. Let's be clear about that, right? So the funding issue ends the minute you submit your study to the particular medical journal that's doing the analysis, okay? It's a great question, but that's the reality of what's going on here, okay? GMOs are really bad. Betty Teeter, yes. It's an it's an orb. I don't even know what that means. What's an orborus? Nobody's funding. I'm funding the R2M protocol. It's me. Okay, let's be clear. I've followed this for 21 years. I'll tell you what I'm proud of. I did 1,500 lectures all over the world, including in China. I have paid my own way, my own hotel. I paid for the hotels in which I spoke and the rental cars that I did. Let's just put it this way. I've flown over 2 million miles just on United. I paid every penny. But what you have to understand, I didn't do the studies. I relied on my own, what was happening to me. But I believed so much in it that I was willing to spend my own money. And you can imagine, you fly 2 million miles, you do the calculation, just the airfare alone. I mean, I could be driving Bentleys or Ferraris for what I spent to bring this message to the world. Why? Because this saved my life 21 years ago. I didn't share that with everybody. 21 years ago, I walk in my doctor's office. He says, if you don't do something radically different today, you got about 18 months to live. You're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. My cholesterol was 400. My triglycerides were 300. I was 40 pounds overweight. Well, I went on this. First, he put me on diet, exercise, and statins. 8 weeks later, I come in. I've lost 8 pounds in 8 weeks, which would be great on a diet. But my cholesterol only came down about 15 points. He couldn't give me any more meds. And that day, I ran into a friend of mine who played professional football for the Oakland Raiders, who turned me on to this new, wasn't called R2M or anything in those days. I went on and lost 8 pounds in 4 days, 12 pounds in 9 days, 20 pounds in 18 days, 30 pounds in a month. I went on to lose 40 pounds in 7 weeks, went back for my follow-up blood work. My doc comes in, throws my chart down, and says, "You're trying to kill yourself." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "How much statin are you taking?" I said, "Doc, I haven't touched that stuff in 8 weeks." He said, we need to retest you. Understand, this is my story. I'm not saying it would happen to any of you. I'm just telling you what happened to me. He said, why? He said, your cholesterol's gone from 400 to 120. Your cholesterol's, your triglycerides have gone from 350 or whatever it was down to 30. you've lost 40 pounds. He said, the lab made a mistake. I said, you're not retesting me. And then a doctor friend of mine introduced me to the chemist who invented the early form of this, which has gone through many iterations over the last 21 years. And he said, I really know I've invented something that's going to change the world, and I need someone like you to tell the world about it. And I said, well, that's great. I said, heck, I don't even know what a calorie is. You see, I was a finance major in college. I worked on Wall Street. I didn't know anything about this, but nobody else did. But I've spent my own money to bring this message to the world. One other thing that none of you would know about me before people start to make opinions of me, because your opinion of me is none of my business anyway, but I just want to share with you where my passion comes from. Why have I funded this, all right? Because my own mother was morbidly obese. I never knew her thin, I never knew her healthy, but I loved her. And 23 years ago, before I became a researcher, she called me up one day and said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend a day thin. 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom did about every diet there was. I became enraged, okay? But it wasn't until really a year and a half later when I had my own medical crisis, and then through, unrelated circumstances. But I really still believe today, and maybe you think I'm silly, maybe it doesn't matter. I believe this is what I was supposed to do. I believe somehow, some way, like my life was spared to bring this message to the world, which I've done. I've never charged anyone a penny to hear me speak. I've always paid my own way. That's how much I believe in this, okay? That's why I funded R2M, okay? And R2M is really nothing that we're simply mimicking what they did in the medical trials. That's it, okay? We offer free coaching, and I don't have anything to do with the foods that the people are consuming. But I'll tell you this, that 40% of the food comes from the grocery store, the other 60% from these 5 foods around the world. And the fulfillment companies who offer those offer a 100% money-back guarantee in the first 30 days. Show me a diet like that. That's how, now nothing's 100%, of course, but it's so rare when anybody ever wants a refund that it's crazy. Because it's not, if it works, then people are excited and they're happy about it. And that's why we encourage people to go to, that's why I created this free website. That's why I'm not selling you books there. I don't want people to accuse me of it's just you're trying to bait and switch us. No, I'm trying to make you aware of something that could change the rest of your life. Or follow the herd. They're all lower in calories. They're all losing weight. They're all gaining all the weight back. This new study is shocking. They're saying, this is from Johns Hopkins Medical School, saying if the current overweight and obesity trends continue, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030 in less than 6 years. Right now, it's 80% overweight, 50% are obese. And then they go on to say, even more troubling, the authors note, by 2048, all American adults may become overweight or obese. Do you think diets work? Do you really think diets work? Somebody had to stand up. Somebody had to take the flag and charge up that hill. That was me. But my motivation was to share this. I believe there were so many people suffering in quiet desperation, like my mom. My mom didn't get a do-over, but many of you on this podcast right now, you get a chance at a do-over if you want. Because I will promise you, Johanna, you're right. This is not a diet, and that's why it works, Johanna. Let me put it up here again for everybody. This website, which we're very proud of, is free for you to go to. But here's the other part that we offer to you. If you like what you see, only if you like what you see, we're not going to contact you. You can sign up for a free personal consultation. It's free. Why are we doing that? Because we don't know anything about you. We have athletes. We have kids as young as 2 doing this and grandmas in their 90s. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. It's about it's really a quality of life system. That would be, but basically what it is, it lets you have the world's most perfect food. Why wouldn't you want to put that in your body? Because you're not going to get it at the local farmer's market even. They had to go, not the researchers, but the people who did the research, they had to go all over the world to find these massively amounts of nutrition and very few calories. That's why this worked. That's why this is not a diet. It's a lifestyle. Look, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept that up for 21 years. By the way, just had a physical. My cholesterol is 120. My triglycerides are like 30. So it's not, temporary. The protocol, that's what R2M means, race to maintenance. That was a great question. Who's funding R2M? I am, okay? But R2M has nothing to do with the researchers, has nothing to do with the people who supplied the 5. We just simply, we were doing what they did in the medical trials, but we had no proof. The only proof for me was I'm still alive. That was a pretty good proof for me. Let's see. Kimberly, thank you very, very much. And all of you can see, do you own, I'm not sure what you're saying. Which reward credit card do you use? You mean myself? What credit card? I use primarily Chase is my main credit card. Yeah, did I get a lot of frequent flyer miles? Yeah, you bet I did, okay. Let's see. So I hope that you'll suspend your skepticism. I hope you'll suspend your judgment of me. Don't let that stand in the way of you doing the exploration to see the medical proof about what could change your life. This is not about you fitting in your skinny jeans. That's a throw-in. It really is just a throw-in. Excuse me. But aren't you a little bit curious? Listen, most women, listen to this, lose a whole dress size in the first 7 days with no exercise. I know you're having trouble wrapping your head. Is this real? Well, that's why the difference, if I would have done this a year and a half ago, it wouldn't have meant anything, because we would have had anecdotal stories and before and afters and, all this fun stuff. But now we have the only medical proof in the entire world of supplements, diets, etc. That these researchers, it took them 38 years to figure this out. And they don't sell anything. They don't sell the natural vitamins. They don't sell the protein sources. But they found them. But that was just the ingredients. The miracle here was the protocol they put together, which, they even refer to it as R2M. I mean, I did invent R2M, but before there was any medical evidence. And I can tell you in 20 years, I didn't have one medical doctor that would ever even take a look at this. Now I've got some major doctors because they're frustrated also. I'm sure if you're on a high blood pressure or blood sugar, your endocrinologist, your internist, or whoever, your GP, whatever, they're telling you probably if you are overweight, if you could lose weight, you probably could reduce the amount of medication. I'm not against medication. Don't hear me say that. Thank God we have it with 80% of America overweight, 50% are pre-diabetic, along with other cholesterol, triglycerides, all these other things going on. But the point is that if you could be in a position where you could assist your own body to reduce the amount you're consuming. Well, I didn't even talk about that. In the medical studies, they had people that were diabetics and had high blood pressure medication. Their medical doctors monitor them, not the researchers, because they're not doctors. They're not trying to play doctor. They're figuring out, okay, what can we give people and what's happening in the human body? And they measured that. So one of the things about a diabetic medication, for example, whether it's glucophage, metformin, or insulin, it drives down the blood sugar. No question. Thank goodness we have those drugs. But every time when that happens, when the drug is entered and the blood sugar goes down, insulin goes up. But in these studies, in 30 days, people's blood sugar came down by 10 points, not 10%. That's a huge difference. And for the first time ever in history, insulin came down by 41%. This is not a diet. This is a complete sort of reprogramming the machinery inside of us. We're not curing, treating, diagnosing, making any medical claims whatsoever. That would be ridiculous. There's no reason to do that. All we're making available to you is to say, look, here's the medical proof that happened in these medical studies. 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. For those of you who don't understand a peer-reviewed human trial study, it's simple. When you run your study, you submit it to a big journal. The one I forgot before was Nature Communications, the #1 journal in the world that they just published a study 8 weeks ago, not on weight loss, but on the gut, the microbiome, your immune system within us, okay? And we wrote a book about this almost 10 years ago now, Your Third Brain. It's not a trick title. But they proved that this protocol was massively increasing the effectiveness of our own immune system in our gut called the microbiome. You might look that up. It's really fascinating, right? So what happens in a peer-reviewed study, like what they did, they submitted their data to, in this case, Nature Communications, which is the number one, considered probably the number one medical journal in the whole world for this, this type of health and wellness and whatever, right? So anyway, when they decided to publish it, Nature Communications doesn't review your work. They send it out to other world-class experts. That's what peer review means. And these are medical doctors, these are nutritional and physiologists who their only job is to discredit what you're proving. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study, unless it's experimental. They have some of those now. But in reality, that's to protect us. Now, they get it wrong sometimes, I agree. But thank goodness we have this sort of scientific border wall that is doing everything possible to protect us. And sometimes they get it wrong, right? So you have to understand there is no other supplement, diet, exercise program that on their own was scrutinized in peer-reviewed human trial studies. The studies that were done, like in this case in the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of the American Medical Association, they were done by those medical journals, not by people doing paleo or keto or time-restricted eating. This time-restricted eating has been a big thing. Don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8. Code word, you're consuming less food in 24 hours. But what are the studies saying? The first one is in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It was a 3-month study, okay? And they said people doing time-restricted eating where they didn't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. So right from the study, I'm quoting exactly what they said, gained almost no benefit from time-restricted eating and lost between 2 and 3.5 pounds in 3 months. And most of the weight they lost was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. But you're going to find this with every single diet out there that you can lose weight. You can lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diets, but up to 40% of what you lose is your lean muscle. Now let's go to the New England Journal of Medicine, 12-month study. 2 groups of people. First group, lowering calories, okay? Second group, time-restricted eating. After 12 months, the people who did caloric restriction lost 16 pounds in a year. Those that did time-restricted eating, intermittent fasting, lost 12.6 pounds in a year. That's in a year, ladies and gentlemen. And then they went on to say both the group who reduced calories and those people that did time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. That's congratulations. You're losing weight on every diet. And I've said it before. I've said it over and over again. Is your diet doing something for you or is it doing something to you? Because the other thing that happens to you when you lose lean muscle, not only does it slow down your metabolism, so when you come off that diet, you gain all the weight back. See, that's what they're finding with the shot, which I'm not against the shots. I'm supporting the shot. If someone's a diabetic or they're obese, they can help them. But here's the sad reality. 68-week study done in the New England Journal of Medicine again. They did the study on semaglutide. 68 weeks, a year and 4 months. The weight loss in 68 weeks was 32 pounds, and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. Again, it's a diet. I'm not against it, but here's what's happening. The people that are coming off the shot are gaining all their weight back. So the solution, obviously, stay on the shot. But all I'm telling you is that every diet is some form of reducing the amount of food you're consuming and ignoring nutrition. That's the only thing that matters to our body is nutrition. It doesn't give a darn. It doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? Because someone told you to. So, A1, a sales pitch. The problem with people like that, and it's not supplements, you haven't even been listening to anything. Let me tell you why it's not a sales pitch, okay? This is the only program in the world with 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Hardly a sales pitch. The website we've provided is free. There's nothing even to buy there. So what's the sales pitch? With all due respect, what sales pitch? Do you want to go on? I'm just proving you time and time again that diets are failing us. This new is a breakthrough. It's going to help so many people, not you. Stick to your opinions. That's fine. You're more than welcome. It's a free forum here. So I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing, right? So the point is that you just are saying things to people that just aren't true. I mean, it's not a sales pitch. I mean, you can have whatever opinion you want to have, but it's not relevant, okay? So anyway, let's see. Can't find anything on him. Who you're trying to find something on? Both were in calorie deficit. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, okay? But again, I don't know what you're talking about. Remember, forget calories. There's no such thing as a calorie deficit is not the same as a nutritional deficit. Completely different. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, right? Let's see. Both were in calorie. You blocked. I agree, and you only keep whole foods around you. Yeah, Al, because you're full of it, okay? That's why I blocked you, all right? So go have a great day. Go bother someone else, okay? How many books have you written? How many times on PBS were you? How many lectures have you done all over the world? Have you been interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America? And are you a nutritional researcher for 21 years of your life? I doubt it. I've helped over 500,000 people in 21 years. So take your sales pitch and have a nice afternoon, okay? Yes, but Silver Sunshine, even whole foods. Let me explain to you. This book, which was a big bestseller called The TDOS Syndrome, Toxicity Driven by Nutritional Deficiency, Overweight and Stress, even the deficiency, even in whole foods. And let me explain to you why. One of the things we're the most deficient in are what are called trace ionic minerals. There's 70 that we need. In whole food that they've measured, you're getting 15 to 20 minerals out of 70. Great approach, and I do organic, but not because it's more nutritious, because I know it only has 15 or 20 minerals. Well, the researchers, they found a source that had all 70 minerals. But the other thing we're the most deficient in, believe it or not, are actually in vitamins. Now, people supplement with vitamins, but what they don't understand that the vast majority of all vitamins are synthetic, which if someone has the MTHFR gene, that's not something you want to be taking. What the researchers found was a natural source of vitamins, one of the only ones in the whole entire world. And the third thing that even doing whole foods you won't get is the absorption of the amino acids inside of protein. I went over this before, but I'll do it one more time. The only reason we ingest protein is for the 20 amino acids contained inside, and they're called 9 are essential. You have to get them from your diet. The other 11 are non-essential, right? So when we ingest a protein from a plant or an animal, the body breaks open the protein like a walnut shell, extracts the 20 amino acids. That sounds good, but it means nothing to the body. What means something to the body is the absorption of the 9 essential and the 11 non-essential amino acids. That's all that matters, okay? In Europe, they developed through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they were able to analyze protein, what percentage of those 20 amino acids were actually being used in the body. Well, with plant-based proteins, they proved there was only a 10% absorption. 90% of a plant-based protein was toxic waste the kidneys have to get rid of. They have a name. They're called nitrogen catabolites, urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose. Now let's move to animal proteins, steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc. Absorption of those, even if it's grass-fed beef, is only 30%. Again, the researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. What I'm saying to you, Silver Sunshine, with all good intentions, you're on the right track, but you're woefully short of the world's perfect food, because it's the combination of these 5 that make this sort of synergistically this perfect food. Well, think about it. You're getting all 70 minerals. You're getting a 91% absorption of aminos. You're getting natural vitamins. And when they gave this to people, even though they lowered the amount of food that they'd used in all the diets that they'd analyzed over 38 years, they'd done 150 studies of every diet out there. And they knew that in all the diets, when people lost weight, 40% of it was lean muscle mass, and all the people gained back all their weight relatively quickly. So when they developed this protocol, they basically took and realized that if they were going to lower the amount of food, could they not lower or increase the amount of nutrition? And that's exactly what they did, and that's why this worked. I mean, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. Who's doing that out there? And, we do get people that want to come on and, cause trouble and whatever. Frank Shelton, the sources come, like I said, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, from South America and New Zealand. And but 40% of what you consume is from the grocery store. You actually get a grocery list they use in the medical trials. And then the other 5 foods were sourced from around the world. And like I said, it makes up the world's most perfect food, unless you have something that has all 70 minerals and 91% absorption of aminos and natural vitamins, okay? This is a breakthrough. And on our website, which is free, let me put it up there for everybody. Sure, Silver, I'm happy to do it. Let me just share this with all of you, okay? Why is it not? Sometimes it posts and sometimes it doesn't. Let me try this again. Okay, there you go. So that's the free medical research site. There's nothing to buy there, despite someone saying I'm making a sales pitch. We're offering you unbelievable evidence that could change the rest of your life. If that's a sales pitch, I'm sorry. There is nothing to buy on that site, not my books. The only thing there is the medical evidence that we're providing to you for free. Should I not do this anymore? Should I not make this research available to a world where 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and worldwide, 1 billion people are now clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition, period. What? Yeah. So it's wonderful that people want to come on and have opinions. But before you come on and attack me, at least have some facts. I promise anybody, you can go to that website. No one will contact you. And it says right there, it's not me. I didn't get the source, Frank. I'm sorry. I just told you the sources came from around the world, from Manchuria, from Bangladesh, from, I don't know, a bunch of countries, including South America, New Zealand, even Tibet in the Himalayas, okay? And these were the people who did the studies found these sources that other people had discovered. That's the best way I can explain it to you. Oh my God, 80% of America's overweight. Take 80% of 300 million, okay? Not 1 million people overweight. I said worldwide 1 billion people are clinically obese. Worldwide, not in the United States. 1 billion. And this was published in the Lancet, one of the biggest medical journals in the world. They did the study. See, what's different about me and what we do, we don't give you opinions. That's why when people want to attack me, it's like, what are you attacking me for? I'm just sharing the medical proof. Do you all think that has value for all of you to be able to go and see the real proof? Or do you want to keep buying gasoline to go 20 miles for each gallon? That's what your food is today, even organic. Where what these researchers did, they found, I'm using a silly analogy, of course, but they found gasoline where you can go 100 miles in each gallon. Which do you think would be better for your body? Which do you think would be better for your life? Which do you think would be better for the amount of waste and the oxidative stress that's caused in the body? The thing I'm the most proud of is I pursued this now for 21 years, and 20 of those years, I had no defense for what people were saying on here. I didn't. We didn't have these peer-reviewed human trial studies until about 14 or 15 months ago. Everything has changed. Everything. On that website, you can see an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, who's also a physiologist, and he and his team for 38 years are considered the #1 researchers in the world for diet, nutrition, exercise. They work with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and NFL football players and CrossFit people, because this isn't a diet. Although no one in these studies was allowed to exercise, men or women, and yet they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water weight, and instead of losing lean muscle, which I've shown you on all the research, on all the diets, that's what you're losing, they gain 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. But that's not the reason to do this. They also lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and inflammation went down in 30 days, which all of us suffer from. They lowered hunger by 41%, and in 8 weeks, people shrank their visceral fat by 33%. Don't you want to know or have access to that knowledge, or should I stop? I'm not going to stop, by the way. I mean, critics are just, that's what they are. It's white noise. And they never come with any facts. They never do. They have personal attacks, and somehow they think that's effective. It doesn't work with me, because I really don't care about your opinion. To me, it's none of my business. But here's the most important thing. Science doesn't give a damn about me. You don't like my glasses or my tie, or I'm in a suit, or whatever it is. But science has no emotions, no agenda. It has no prejudice. It just is. I mean, that's called gravity every time. So science doesn't care about that. What's so exciting about this, after 38 years, they found, their words, not mine, they found the silver bullet, the magic bullet for weight loss and health, and they have the medical proof to back it up. That's why when people come on and want to criticize, they have no leg to stand on. Because when you're talking about 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies, they've already been evaluated, scrutinized by the top medical doctors and researchers around the world, the top people in the whole world at Harvard Medical School and Oxford in England. This is not some game. This isn't some promotion, some infomercial. Ask yourself a question. How come none of these providers that you're seeing, influencers, or any of the supplements, the stuff you see on TV, how come none of them have peer-reviewed human trial studies? They'll say, oh, there's a scientific ingredient. That doesn't mean a damn thing. We have a scientific study. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Unless it's a peer-reviewed human trial study, it means zero. It means nothing in the medical world, and it should mean nothing to you. So we're giving you this free opportunity to look before you leap, in a sense. Because on the website is all the medical proof, including this interview with the #1 nutritional researcher and physiologist in the world. People come in and comment. They're not nutritional people, right? Oh, Frank, by going to the website. Let me put it up there again for you, Frank. I'm sorry I've got so many notes and so many people reaching out to me. So, Frank, the best way to think about it is 40% of the food you're buying now from the grocery store, you'd still buy. 60% you'd buy from them. I can tell you based on experience that most people feel by buying 40% from the grocery store and the other 60% from the world's most perfect food, they spend about the same, maybe even $50 more a month than they're spending now. But Frank, you understand what you're buying? Do you understand? If you tried to replicate, well, you couldn't replicate it because those foods aren't available in the United States. But you're getting all 70 minerals. You're getting a 91% absorption of amino acids, and you're getting these pure, natural vitamins, not as a supplement. They're in the foods that they found. That's a better way to think about it, okay? Thank you for sharing a place to read. Yeah, Angie, absolutely. Haha, I think, what do we eat? Angie. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what do you eat? Again, let me review for you. The researchers put together a list of fats, carbs, proteins, fruits, etc. You'd get the list, okay? The other 60% of these 5 food groups would come from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, South America, New Zealand, but here's the point. When you go to the website and see the proof, you can sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Their job is not to sell you or convince you of anything. Their job is to say, okay, what do you want to accomplish? Do you need to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? Are you on any medication? How much do you exercise? What have you tried in the past? I mean, we have children as young as 2 doing this and people 90 years old. We're doing the personal consultation for free. And then that coach, who's not somebody at 800 number checking off a list, someone they've had to done the program and been trained by us and now coached hundreds of people to become a coach, because this is a big decision for people. This isn't just like, hey, let's buy some stuff. No. It's not how it works. And the coach who interviews you will be your personal coach if you decide to move forward. Now, the other thing, and I didn't even tell you that, Frank, I'm sorry, but the 5 foods that you'd be purchasing, other than the 40% of the food, so 60% of the food you're purchasing from this world's perfect food from these fulfillment companies. Now, remember, Frank, it's a combination of these things, right, that makes the world's most perfect food. They offer, those fulfillment companies, a 100% money-back guarantee in the first 30 days. What diet's doing that? And of course, nothing's 100%, but it's so rare that anyone would ever ask for a refund when they're having results. Most women lose a whole dress size, not you, Frank, but most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. You're all struggling with the fact it sounds too good to be true. It's better than that. Because you know what the #1 thing people say, despite losing weight 12 times faster than any diet? I can't believe the way I feel. And I would say this to all of you with all due respect. You have no idea right now how bad you actually feel because you don't understand how good you actually could feel. I just got off the phone with someone that I've been working with for a year, who a year ago was spending $3,000 a month on supplements. $3,000 a month on supplements. And yet, she'd been to like 20 different doctors. And for example, in the morning, she'd wake up and she had such bad pain in her foot that she couldn't get out of bed right away. I just was on the phone with her about an hour ago, and she was kind of updating me. And she said, I don't think I ever believed that I could ever feel this good again. I think she's 52 or 53 years old. I'm not quite sure. But the main reason to do this is to maximize your quality of life potential. We went over this medical syndrome that I discovered, toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, overweight, and stress. Everyone, me, you, every person on the planet has chemicals we're storing inside of our fat cells. And in the studies, the researchers, they proved that this protocol, one of the reasons it worked is because it triggered the body's ability to remove herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and even plastics from the human body that was embedded in our visceral fat. That's the fat around your organs. They have medical proof through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. This is the most advanced study of human nutrition and physiology ever conducted. And these guys have been doing it and girls have been doing it for 38 years, 150 studies. So I kind of rely on them. And yet you can go to that website and see the interview with him, the number one person. He'll tell you they'll never, ever recommend any of these crazy diets again. They looked at them all. Why? Because the medical proof, they said it would be unethical for us to tell someone to put them on any of the diets we used to, where it would take them 8 weeks to lose the most unhealthy weight, which is their lean muscle mass, only to gain all their weight back. Compared to this, where our men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of those diets, lost as much weight in 30 days as a year of any of the diets they ever studied, and lost no water and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Do you see how? I hope that creates curiosity in you. But you have no risk to go to the website and see the medical proof, and then and only then, we won't contact you, I promise you. You can sign up for free consultation or not. But we're not holding back the information from you. The only reason we do the personal analysis, we don't know anything about you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Are you an athlete? What have you tried before? Are you on any medication? How old are you? Are you having problems sleeping at night? All these variables. I don't know how to make it any fairer. And if that's a sales pitch, then redefine a sales pitch. Plus, the first 30 days comes with a 100% money back guarantee and free coaching. How in the world would that be possible if this didn't work? And nothing's 100%. I'm not saying nobody ever asks for it. But the fulfillment companies will even pay return shipping. This isn't a ripoff. This is going to change the world. This is going to obsolete every single diet out there. I can't really comment. I love if anyone has health problems, personally, I feel I can't put a dollar amount. Yeah, Kimberly, isn't your health your wealth? Great question, Frank. Hopefully I answered that for you, Angie, Kimberly. Angie, thank you. Okay, wouldn't those 5 foods? Let me put it to you differently. If the body relies to run all of our systems, heart, lung, brain, kidneys, etc. Do you think if the body, for example, needs 70 minerals and you're only getting 20, if you give the body 70, do you think there's a chance the body's going to work better? Did you know that all of us suffer from a disease starting at age 25 called sarcopenia? What does that mean? It means you're losing 1% of your lean muscle every month starting at about age 25. Go to a nursing home and look at someone in their 80s. The skin is hanging off their bones. They literally are skin and bones. And what's the terrible fear for elderly people? Falling down, breaking their hips. It can be fatal, right? Well, I have a story of a 90-year-old woman on a walker. This was like 2 months ago. We put her on just part of the protocol. Now, she'd fallen down 3 times in 1 week, and her sister was very concerned about her. Her sister's 80 and she's 90, okay? Anyway, she went on just part of the protocol. That's why we do personal evaluations or personal consultations. Well, 2 months later, doesn't need a walker anymore. I mean, this is what's going on, whether you knew about it, didn't know about it, etc. So imagine when you're going on a diet and up to 40% of what you're losing is your lean muscle mass and you have sarcopenia. Have you ever seen why people, when they lose weight, have all the loose skin? Because the only thing they've lost is their lean muscle. They haven't lost fat. I read to you from this is the Journal of American Medical Association on time-restricted eating. They did a 93-month study. And they said people who did time-restricted eating where they didn't eat for 16 and ate for 8 gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. But the majority of the weight they lost was not fat, but lean muscle mass. Study after study after study is saying you can lose weight on any diet. That's not up for debate. Even the researchers who did this for 38 years, everybody lost weight, but everybody lost up to 40% of the lean muscle, and every person gained back all their weight. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. You know, many people tell us, I've tried everything. I know of a woman right now who started, it's been 8 months, January till now, well, actually almost 9 months. And all I can tell you is this, I'm not going to name the person or the protocol. She spent $16,000 over the course of that, let's say 9 months. She started at 300 pounds. After almost 9 months, she's down 16 pounds. No exercise. Men and women in 30 days lost 16 pounds. Now, granted, there were people who lost a lot more than that. There were people that needed to lose 100 pounds out. But the average was at least 16 pounds in a month. So would you rather spend a month or do you want to spend 10 months? See, that's the thing. As far as the cost, you're investing in your future. You're investing in yourself. And really, depending on what you spend on food now, you may find that you're not spending any more by giving yourself the world's most perfect food. Where are you going to get the world's most perfect food? Which grocery store? I live in Denver, Colorado. I don't know of a grocery store like that. I'm being facetious, of course. This is changing people's lives. To address what you're saying, I'm giving you a roundabout answer about, thank you very much. Yeah, my mom. I tell that story not to, I want people to understand where my motivation comes from. And before someone was asking me about this, that for 21 years, I've funded all these. I did 1,500 live lectures all over the world and never charged a person a penny, my airfare, my hotel. I even paid for the rooms in which I spoke. That's how much I believed in this. Because my mom didn't get a do-over. But you, on this podcast right now, you have a chance to do a do-over or not. You can ignore it. You can pretend, I don't believe this. Again, let's come back. Forget Peter Greenlaw for a moment. When you have 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies to look at, and a breakdown of the results, and an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, do you owe it to yourself to spend a little bit of time to see if you're believing everything I'm telling you? I don't want you to do that. I want you to see the medical proof. That's what we need. We need a solution that's real. We don't need any more celebrity endorsements. We don't need any more Hollywood stars telling us how they lost weight. We don't need any more, whatever it is, athletes, all these protocols. And at the end of the day, currently this year, 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% is obese. And then this new study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. And they're saying, Dr. Wang of Johns Hopkins Medical School says that if the current trend continues, that overweight and obesity, 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese by 2030 in less than 6 years. They go on to say what's even more alarming is that by 2048, all American adults would become overweight or obese if the current trend continues. Do you have any reason to believe it's not going to continue? Do you know in 2018, 6 years ago, obesity was 42%. 6 years later, it's 50%. So that's why they're coming up with these alarming statistics. These aren't my opinions. I don't know why, people, you either believe in science and research or you don't. And if you don't, have a nice day. But I would say to the people, even the critics, what's your solution? What is your solution? Don't tell me lowering calories. We've already debunked that in study after study after study. So what would it be? I eat whole foods. I eat organic. Good luck. You're getting about 30% of what you need to optimize your wellness, to optimize the functionality of your body, to optimize lower stress, increase lower mental fog, sleep better at night, whatever it is. The number on the scale is the least important thing to us, although it's, for you, it's very dramatic when you can. It's an expression, they say, just give us 4 days, because normally men and women in the first 4 days lose as much weight as they did in a month. I already told you they lost as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet, and lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, because it's cumulative. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you will. Let's see, is it true? Yeah. So again, I'm going to end this. Wow, I've been almost 2 hours on this podcast. I didn't realize how much I was covering. But anyway, yeah, I need to give this to you. The proper way to lose weight. Somebody's asking me that question. Let me answer that for you. To answer your question, go to that website, see the medical proof, and you can see there, you can sign up for free personal consultation, and they'll go over everything with you about what you want to do. It's a free consultation. There's no gimmicks, there's no tricks. You don't have to buy anything unless you're convinced afterwards that this could do for you what it's done for hundreds of thousands of people over the course of the last 21 years. So anyway, I'm going to end this podcast. I'm going to, let's see, it's 1:03 Eastern time. Yeah, I'll probably do another one in an hour to hour and a half. I'm going to probably do 2 more. Like painfully, obviously. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I hope it's good. I don't know. No, if you go to the website, there's nothing to buy. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to pay a penny. If you decide to do a free, listen to me carefully, free personal consultation, it's free. You don't have to buy anything to get the consultation. Only after the consultation, then you can decide based on what goals you have and what you want to do, whether you want to do it or not. They're not there to convince you. They're not there to sell you. They're there to educate you and make you aware of what's possible, including the costs, analyzing like what are you really consuming now, what foods are you consuming. It's a wonderful process to give you the opportunity to make a decision for yourself that could impact the rest of your life. That's what this is about. This isn't some diet, which a start and a finish. That's the problem with diets. It's always a destination. Life is a journey. R2M is a journey, race to maintenance. It's not just that you can lose the weight or get your health under control, but keep it that way. I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. And I would wish the same for any and all of you. I can't make a promise. I mean, everybody's different. All I can tell you is that I've seen some pretty amazing things in the course of 21 years and all those people that we've seen, right? Oh, Megan Stoddard. It's the protein that they found, okay, it comes from New Zealand. It's the finest protein in the world, but it had properties that no other protein had, okay? Like the 70 minerals, like these special enzymes that were no other protein source on the planet. And that's why you're not going to go down to your local store and buy anything like it that's even close, okay? So what I'm saying to you is, if you want, go and look at the medical proof. If you like what you see, sign up for a free consultation, and they'll go over everything with you, including the cost, based on I don't know, do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Are you an athlete? What have you tried before? What supplements are you on or not on? I mean, it's not just some simple answer like, oh, click the box. No, we don't do that. Okay? All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to end this podcast right now. And one last time, I'm going to put the website up for all of you to go to if you want. It's totally free to go there. If I could just get it to post. For some reason, it posts some of the time and not all of the time. I don't know why that would be. New message. Oh, there it is. It did post price. The new health conversation. The new health conversation. Just no spaces. And again, for the 50th time, there's nothing to buy there. My books aren't there to buy. There's no celebrity endorsements. It's just a medical proof in the interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. That's a privilege that you get to hear what he says about traditional diets and why they'll never recommend any form of a traditional diet ever again. So I wish you all the best rest of your day. I know some people that are listening all over the world, so maybe it's nighttime, maybe it's daytime, maybe you're just getting up, maybe you're just going to bed, whatever it might be. So I hope that this has been useful to all of you. Oh, perfect. Okay. Anyway, I will. Yeah, and also if you like what you've heard, the new health conversation, that's my TikTok. If you can go there and like it, that always helps me out. And I would say to be on my next live, so it's 1:00. I would say between 4 and 4:30 Eastern time, I'll do the next one. I need to do a few things and follow up with a bunch of the people that are responding. So everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day.